and Susan input, and I only have one on here. Does anybody want to add before we get going? Matt Kranich.
This is in regarding to 4K, and while I'm on record, I'll be on record again that I fully embrace the benefits of the 4K program for the Waterford Graded School District. I want to focus tonight on the budgetary impact of the 4K program and how it benefits this district. I also attended the Burlington Area School District meeting a couple weeks ago, and I was very happy to see both administration and school board represented there. But it's almost like it was a different meeting, because in all the handouts they had and have had online, I don't see anything that talks about a diminishing budgetary benefit from the 4K program. And I heard again tonight that after a couple of years, the budgetary impact diminishes. To summarize, I've crunched these numbers. I didn't make the numbers up. I used the DPI worksheets that are provided to every school district and anybody in the nation. Just go to their website, download it. There's only really 3 variables you have to add. And you plug it in, and you get it very accurate. It's not perfect. Numbers have to be finalized, etc. But you get a very accurate budgetary impact of having a 4K program. And as I've researched this online, I have found district administrators, school board members, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of misunderstanding. Most of it has to do with this idea of 3-year rolling enrollment. And people confuse state aid with revenue limits and revenue caps per student. And that really has very little to do with instituting a 4K district-wide program and the budgetary impact. Because the benefit to the Waterford Graded School District is simply the state paying a much larger percentage of aid to us. And right now, because this is a very wealthy district, compared to other districts, by the way, far more wealthy than the Burlington Area School District. And that is why the impact of starting a 4K program here is actually even more of a benefit than it is there. But just adding one student, whether you're adding that student as a 4K student or somebody that moves into the district and they're going to 5th grade, we are such a wealthy district that one student added gives you $12,000 to $13,000 more in state aid. When you lose one student, you lose $12,000 to $13,000 in state aid. And I have the details in here. Obviously, one student in 4K is not a full-time equivalent. They're usually rated at about 0.6. It depends on the program you use. But if the average income in kindergarten class here in Waterford is about 160, and we can expect 75% of those that would be going to kindergarten that are in the district to attend a 4K, that's 120 students. You multiply that by 0.6. And for the purpose of discussion, we're talking about adding 72 students if you start a district-wide 4K program. Now, the very first year, you may not get that many. Right now, of course, it's February, and if this were to be started for next school year, that could be problematic. So, the numbers have to be adjusted. But again, even if you only had 10 full-time equivalents in a 4K program, you're having a huge benefit to your budget. For those of you that have been following the Burlington area issue, there was another article, the board approved that. And the discussion shortly then changed to what are we going to do with all this money and how much are we going to give back to taxpayers? And should we start a 3K and 2, someone tried to be sarcastic, but no, the state doesn't pay 3-year-old and 2-year-old district-wide programs. So just to jump ahead, I've also heard comments. People have stated that it's property values in Waterford. The state's been hit hard by this housing bubble and the economic downturn, but in Waterford, it's such a nice place to live, and by the way it is, that's why I moved here 2 years ago, but somehow property values in Waterford have stayed high, and that's hurt us. That's simply not true. If you look at the last 4 years, and you look at equalized property value over the state, Waterford has actually dropped in price slightly, very slightly, more than the rest of the state. And if we look at what's going to happen with the economy in the future, if the economy is supposed to improve and housing picks up, and it picks up quicker here in Waterford than elsewhere, that would be bad. Then our wealth would again increase, and the state aid difference per student becomes even greater. And I'll try to wrap this up because I'll probably get into the time limit, but I sent earlier today to Ms. Habe and Mr. Yoke a detailed budgetary impact. I look at the next 4 years, both with the 4K program and without a 4K program. The results are very impressive, and something like $2.7 million extra dollars in 4 years in state aid at a cost of only about $1.6 million. So this district will have over $1 million extra by participating in creating a 4K program in 4 years. And we've lost over $2 million in the last 4 years by not having a 4K program. That's both in the grant money that used to be available when you start a 4K program, but at about $500,000 per year. That's how you get to $2 million very easily. And I am requesting a meeting with whoever is in charge of the district's budget issues. It was 9 months ago that Tom Hoffman sat up here and asked for you to contact the DPI and to find out what is the impact, both for the students but also for the budget. And it is frustrating. It is frustrating 9 months later that we don't know the answers. I have found the answers. I'm very, very confident in them. And I would like to have a meeting before the week is up so that a discussion, which I was told is going to happen at the March committee meetings, can happen and people can be on the same page with the numbers. You can always debate how much you're going to pay the 4K teacher and busing, but when you're talking about benefiting $500,000 surplus dollars after you pay for the program per year, we don't have to squabble about those numbers. I won't. I want to make sure that everybody has the basic understanding of how this program works and how it impacts the budget. And if I am wrong, what I have here is wrong, grossly wrong, I will be back at this mic to make that clear and state that I've made a mistake. And I hope others will do that in the same fashion if they've made mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. At our March 10th policy and curriculum meeting, I'd like to put this topic on the agenda, a review of 4K. And we should probably, at the same time, have a little bit of a review update on the Title I.
Could I?
Clarify, it's not a policy, it's a financial. Should get paid. Yeah.
I can accept
We're
that.
reviewing financial impact of the district.
Yeah.
Bob, can I have a meeting with someone from the district that would be kind of in charge of these numbers and so we can compare notes?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.